Hollywood Balls, it's Soccer Saturday, and it's time for another legend. Let's go. And no video clip played. Not sure what happened there. I've had absolute nightmare with videos all day, so we'll just go straight into it. Our legend today is Warren Barton. Welcome to Hollywood Balls. Welcome return to you, Warren. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, my friend. Yeah, it's been a bit of an eventful time with the Euros, and obviously with the COVID now coming to a slightly bit of end in California, so things are looking good. Things are looking better than it was.
I've got to say, just for all our fans, we've been talking about this certain goal against Scotland, which obviously England couldn't do, and I'll get on to that. But Schick's goal against Scotland, here's one from you.
That's Barton. Oh, where's Lukic? He's nowhere.
And that's not playing either. Unbelievable. Absolute nightmare. It was your Wimbledon lob from 40 yards.
It wasn't a halfway line, but it was a decent effort anyway. Howard Wilkinson afterwards said it was a cross, not a shot. So anyway, I'm going to go with it. It was a good goal against John Lukic and Leeds.
We've just been talking before. Talk about France and Hungary, great game, but I want to get straight into the England game and get your impression on the England-Scotland game, Warren.
I think, my friend, it was a reality check. I think, things have been going ever so well for the last 2 years. The style of football, the young players, obviously after the back of the World Cup, getting to a semi-final, but I think you looked at what Steve Clarke and John Carver, obviously ex-Newcastle people, was well organised, Scottish players. It was their cup final, and they made it very, very difficult. Some of the performances, though, was very poor, very negative, sideward passing, everything that we haven't really seen before. Before it's been very positive, there's been lots of movement, there's been chances, but this was a bit of a reality check because it wasn't a wonderful performance, to say the least. We got a goal against Croatia in difficult circumstances. First game at Wembley, fans, the heat, everything else. But I think there's a lot to come, and I think for everybody just to reset, refocus, and make sure they perform a lot better. If we're hoping, like we all do at the beginning of the tournament, they was going to go deep in this tournament, they've got to perform a lot better. The movement has to be better. The energy level has to be better. So, for Gareth as well, it's a wake-up call as well, because he's had a lot of plaudits, but then come with that performance comes a lot of negative press. So he's got to try and turn it around quickly and get the boys focused. There's no doubt about the talent. I mean, the depth of quality that we've got, we should be performing and giving maybe other players the opportunity to perform and play at a high level. So very disappointing.
Gents, listen, I don't know whether it's things at my end, but I'm going to have to come out and come back in because there's a tremendous echo, and it's either from San Francisco or Cyprus. So let me come back in and see what happens. Just give me 2 seconds, guys. Bear with us. We'll be right back.
Warren, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah, it's when we was all together, then that's when we had the bad echo.
Okay, all right. But the result is one thing, but the performance is what was really disappointing, right,
yes.
Warren?
Yeah. I think particularly after Croatia, there was a lot of relief. The confidence is there. There's no doubt about the talent of the players, but getting that clean sheet and result against Croatia, you're thinking now for England to step it up and really, get a comfortable win against Scotland. And great credit to Scotland. They made it difficult. They broke us, made it difficult for us to break them down. But there wasn't enough movement. It was the first time, really, I've seen this England squad be very lethargic and pedestrian. And normally you've always got a spark from somewhere, whether it's Sancho, Sterling, Rashford, but there wasn't. And I know they were set back and making it difficult to break down, but we had no midfield runners trying to run in behind. There was no either fullback. I mean, Reece James, who I think is a very, very good player, kept going backwards every time he got in, as if he passed it forward and then made a run. Rice as well. So there was, if you're going to have a bad performance, let's have it in the group stage, and then hopefully we can adjust to it. But I think because it was Scotland, because after what happened against Croatia, there was a lot more positivity going into this game. As I said, it was Scotland's cup final, and we didn't perform particularly well. But I do expect a reaction in the next game against the Czech Republic, because they will play a little bit more adventurous. They will try and come forward, and they've already got 4 points like we have. So it's whoever wins that's going to, or do well, is going to win the group.
I'm back in, by the way, just so you know, George. We were texting last night about the game. Player-wise, selection-wise, did he get it right or wrong, Gareth Southgate?
I would have gone with Foden and Grealish. Knowing what Scotland are like, I know Sterling had scored, or maybe play Grealish a little bit deeper. You knew you was going to have a lot of possession of the ball. I see Rob Lee, my old friend and our colleague, and someone that we know of the show as well. Do you really need two holding midfield players against them?
Exactly.
Another question. The fullbacks, I mean, I know Shaw's had a good season at Man United and Reece James, and I'm just speaking there about James, who I think's a good player, but every time he got it, he'd come back inside. There was no overlapping run or trying to go forward. And Harry Kane was marshalled very well. He couldn't get a sniff. So, from that point of view, like Gareth said, they're going to have to sit down and analyse it. But I would definitely have gone with, didn't need two holding midfield players, and I would have started Grealish. I think that would have lifted everybody. It would have put us on the front foot. I think he needs a good run out. But yeah, I mean, like I said, there's areas that we need to improve in. But it was more the performance where it was so pedestrian and lethargic and negative, which hasn't been the style of football under this group of young players.
You say about, I mean, you looked at the excitement when Grealish was literally warming up. You could hear the crowd. They were buzzing to get him on. It was a sort of like a Gaza-esque situation, Warren, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, remember in Euro '96 where Gaza took the tournament by storm, and he thrived in that environment. And Grealish is the same. And I throw Foden into that. I've seen Foden win the U17 World Cup, and arguably by far the best player in the tournament. I think he's a player that will get better and better with age. He's still a young boy. But yeah, you're right. I'm sitting there with my son, and Grealish is doing his laces up, and the stadium's going crazy. And that was after 60 minutes. So, that's the excitement that he has. I don't think he played as well as he can do either when he come on. There was glimpses that we see, but because of the tempo of the game and Scotland had got set, it was difficult for him to break that down. Now, if he starts the game, it's a lot different, where they'd already got set into their plan. They'd already worked on it the last few days of how they're going to play Scotland. For him to come into that with 25, 27 minutes was going to be very, very difficult, because they was already bunkered in and set what they was going to do. And for him to come on, but it definitely had that lift and that excitement. He's not Gazza yet by a long way, but he's going in the right direction, because Gazza was special, and he is special.
I've got to ask you though, was just my opinion was when he did come on, was he put in the wrong channel?
Yeah, I think he's put too wide. I think get him in the middle, get him where he can influence. Speaking of what did we really need two holding midfield players? Maybe put Mount out a little bit wider and let Grealish get closer to Harry Kane or Rashford as it was. So I think the more you give that type of player the ball, the better it is, and that's where you let the freedom of where they are, these players, because you didn't really need a system in the end. They was playing 5 at the back, 3 in the middle, and 2 down and two up top. So it was that was how they were set up. So you could allow him to get in them spaces and try and play little 1-2 little combinations, or at least run at 1 or 2 defenders and maybe slip a pass in. So I would have put him in and around the middle where he can find the ball and get hold of it. I know people are going to say, well, there's not a lot of space, but players like that find space. They're clever enough and good enough to find space.
But listen, you got to give it to Scotland, though. Scotland's performance was not just a dogged performance. They played well. They were better on the ball than England were, I thought.
Better in the second half as well.
I would definitely say Pickford's out to make the two of the bigger saves and cleared off the line than what their goalkeeper had. So I think you're right. I think they grew into the game. And I've been the underdog. You just showed the Wimbledon picture there when I played. when you're the underdog and nothing's really expected, and all of a sudden you get into 60 minutes, 70 minutes, and you know your opposition is feeling the pressure, you sort of get confident and start popping it around and making the game look a little bit easier. And that's what happened with Scotland. They grew in the game. They felt comfortable. Listen, if Stone's header goes in after that 20-minute
different
mark,
game.
Totally different game. But that's what we love about this game. It's all ifs and buts. But definitely as the game got on, Scotland looked like the team that was probably, like you said, a little bit more dangerous to score a goal.
I'm going to come out of Euros just for a minute. We will return because there's a huge game on, and I want your opinion on that tonight. Just for our TFA family, welcome to you all, by the way. Code will be in play, so please don't ask me for it because you will get it. I'm going to take you a little way back down Warren's career. Warren played for the Crazy Gang. What a time that must have been. I could do a whole show on that. But you served under 3 managers, Warren, at Wimbledon. And I was looking this morning. You got Ray Harford in there, Peter With, which I didn't realise, and Big Joe Kinnear. My question is, what was it like under Big Joe? Because I actually think he's a great coach.
Joe was perfect for that Wimbledon team and club because the way he managed, and listen, Joe's Joe. You know, you've seen his press conferences, and he's not the most articulate guy.
His PR's not the best, is it?
No. So, but that suited us. That's it. Everything we wanted to be. We wanted to be a little bit different. We wanted to just play off the cuff. It was us against the world. We wasn't expected to do things. Although when I was there, we finished 6th, 7th, and 9th. In that, you know,
it's amazing, that, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean,
incredible.
It's like, you know, you think of someone like a Leicester or a Southampton, but we went, and every year we would sell our best players and move the best players on. But it was great, you know, that time of playing with your friends, going up to Anfield or Old Trafford and being the underdog and winning games, teams fearing you slightly. You know, we'd win a lot of games in the tunnel with the likes of Vinnie Jones and Fashanu, the likes of Southampton, Coventry, Norwich, them type of teams. We'd intimidate them, and that translated on the field. So we knew straight away we're going to get a few points. I throw your old lot into that. Spurs as well. We'd have a go with them and make them feel uncomfortable. I remember at Player Lane beating Gary Lineker and that team 5-1. So, you know, that's the type of performances that we had. But it was great, you know. And Joe emulated what we all was, you know, how he was as a person. You're right, he was a good coach. He was a very, very good man management with that group of players. When you had a superstar of players that had an ego, because what we did as players, we didn't let anyone get an ego, whether it was Dean Holsworth, who'd scored 27 goals in the Premier League, or John Scales getting a move to Liverpool. No one had the ego. You know, everyone just got on with each other. It was, like I said, it was a gang. It was a gang of looking after each other and sticking together. But when he went off to Nottingham Forest or particularly Newcastle, you're dealing with egos, you're dealing with personalities. And what gets me a little bit is that when Joe went there, he was always, when I was at Wimbledon, he'd come and speak to me and Robbie Earl, John Scale about the game and what was going on. When he went there, and this is not a slur because Joe's his own man, he didn't pick up the phone and say, Warren, what's it like up there? You know, what, you know, I'm coming into it. I know Dennis Wise is telling me and Mike Ashley's telling me, but what is it really like, Warren? I worked with him for 5 years and was his captain, was his leader, whatever it was at Wimbledon. And he never did. But it wasn't until it started going wrong that he started throwing my name around in press conferences. Well, ask Warren Barton about me. Ask this. So then people would ask me, and I was like, well, I haven't spoken to him for 5 years because he's not picked up the phone. So, you know, from that point of view, where it irritated me slightly, because not saying that he wanted me as assistant coach or taking me there, but Newcastle's a special club. It's a unique club. Yeah. Very similar to what in there. Wimbledon was a unique and strange club. It wasn't a normal football club. But then you go into this avenue of what Newcastle is and the area and the potential and the fans and the expectations. He thought he could just walk in there like a lot of managers. Oh, it's just a normal club. It's not. It's a unique club. But Ray Hartford was the best coach. Yeah, he was phenomenal. No surprise when he went to Blackburn, when Kenny Dalglish and won the league. Ray was magnificent as a coach. Peter With, as a person, was fantastic, but his biggest thing, I mean, how stupid would you be and I love Wivy. It's like he's come into Wimbledon that's got big personalities telling us that we can't wear jeans and you have to be clean shaven, and he's got a beard. So we was like, so you can imagine the day, like he's come in, right, we want this to happen. And listen, Peter, I love him, and he was a top class player and a lovely fellow as well. But he said, like, no jeans, no. So you imagine the lads. The next day, we've got head to toe in jeans, jean jackets, jean shirts, jean
double
socks,
denim up.
just getting the big ZZ top beards, just walking. And it was like, really, you're going to try and change this? This is, again, a coach not understanding what the mindset and philosophy and the culture is of a club. We don't care whether we wear Speedos and a pair of flip-flops for a game. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that we stay in the Premier League and we do well, and the next player gets a chance to move on. So Wivy, as great as he was, but he only lasted 10 months because that wasn't going down too well with the boys. But he could run in the pre-season. That's one thing Wivy could do in pre-season. He could run. And then Joe come in and obviously took over and got the team, playing, the way they needed to do, being very competitive in the Premier League and stuff like that. So Joe, I love him to death. But if you ever know Joe as well, as soon as he does that, the finger in the top of the head, he's lying. So we used to have conversation and go like, yeah, this one's happening. We'd all look at each other and say, he's like, there was a telltale. So he could never play poker. So I remember going into his office and I'd spoken to David Dean, which is the chief executive at Arsenal at the time, on the Tuesday night at Highbury. There was a FA youth game, and and David was a lovely, lovely gentleman and still is, and said, look, we put an offer in. We want to bring you and Les Ferdinand to Arsenal. Just to let you know what's going on. I know Newcastle, I know Celtic, I know Everton, I know Man City, but we're just waiting for a manager to come in. But we've put an offer in. So I go into training on Thursday, go into Joe's office, said, Gaffer, he's coming towards the end of the season. Has there been any interest? No. So we've had nothing. We've had nothing come through the door. I said, so you've not had a bid from a club? No. Nothing at all. We've had no. I went, well, you're lying. He went, well, I went, because you're scratching your head, and I've been speaking to David Dean. So there you go. So but a lovely, as I said, with Joe, I've got utmost respect for him. I know it didn't work out for him for Newcastle, and
No.
he gave some some amusing press conferences though.
But he did,
unforgettable.
He did all right statistically. 95, Warren. Most Toon fans would like to think that you came home. It was a very nearly scenario, wasn't it? We were just about the champions.
Yeah, I mean, it was a wonderful, wonderful time for everybody. Whether it was the signings at the beginning of the season with the likes of David Ginola, Les Ferdinand, myself and Xhaka, David Batty coming in, Tino Espria, the Grandad collars, the Newcastle brand now, the style of football that we played.
You love that Grandad collar shirt, by the way.
Yeah, that was a big thing. It was a fashion icon. People wearing
everyone wore them in the big moment.
Yeah, everyone's wearing them now. So, it just was a special time. And Kevin being how he was, and again getting on so well. You've had people like Lee Clark on the show, and they was great for the new players coming into the club. They made us feel welcome. You already had some great players there, the likes of Rob Lee, Peter Beardsley was already there, Philip Albert, some talented players, and to get so close. And then, I've been criticised for saying this, but we fouled. And people say, well, you never fouled. You gave us the best time of our lives. And it was brilliant to see and, be part of the Premier League and be called the entertainers. People don't really speak about teams that have finished second, or Blackburn. Blackburn won it, but don't really have too much say about that. But Newcastle, because of how the fans was, the stadium, the city, the vibe, everybody loved going up there to watch a game. But we failed. We come short. We should have won it. And as I've said to you before, my friend, there's never a day go by that I don't wish that would have changed. Not for me, and not for the players, and not for Kevin actually, but for the city and for the people, because they deserved it. And unfortunately, we didn't get over the line.
That first game though, the Coventry, I think that was for me catalyst that you had so many new players playing that day, and they literally tore Coventry apart. All respect to them, and you just thought, what, this is going to be a real ride, something really special. What a game that was!
But you're talking about it now, and the hairs of my arms are standing up. And I'd never seen anything like that before. You know, we'd come from Wimbledon, and
Yeah.
I played in the Premier League for 7 or 8 years beforehand, and played at some big stadiums and whatever. But that whole stadium was black and white. You know, when we come into the stadium, everybody was walking up the hill to the ground, and you could just feel the electricity, the atmosphere, the excitement in the air of walking into it. So when we went out for the warm up was crazy enough anyway. The roar, and Clarkey was like, you know, we've never had fans in the stadium. This, you know, there's like 25, 30,000 people in the stadium already. Normally, you know what it's like, my friend. It's like 5 to 3. All of a sudden, 50 odd thousand
Run up.
walking in. They're all running up the stairs to get in, but they was already there. And then it was a frenzy of excitement going into the game. You know, I had 25 of my family friends that had come up to watch the game, my wife and kids, and well, not at the time the kids, but my brother and sister was all there, and just coming out for the first game, and me and Les was like, there's black and white everywhere. You couldn't see a different colour. It was the only thing that was very similar to that was Alan Shearer's testimonial when they did the flags. And I'd never seen a whole stadium, and at that time it was not only but 36,000 people, but it was whole black and white. And the roar and the energy, and then, like you said, that we got off to a great start, and Ginola was doing things that the Premier League had never seen before, and Les got his goal, which was always, you know, a special moment, coming out and putting the goal away. And from then on, it just snowballed into this excitement. And I said I used the word frenzy, but it was just an uproar of excitement, positivity. Couldn't wait for the next game. You said the big market. You've said the shirts. I mean, there was selling the shirts at night. There was 10,000 people at the waiting to try and get in the club store to buy a shirt at midnight.
Yeah,
I mean, and
right.
20,000 people on the waiting list to get on. So it was incredible, and you know that really set the tone for the season. And then we was just on a roll. You know, we were just game after game after game, and you know, as I said, it was such a special time in my life. It was magnificent.
Before I get back into the Euros, Warren, I've got to ask you, because if I don't, my brother-in-law will kill me. He's a massive QPR fan. You spent a short time there, but again, a very similar fan base, isn't it? They're so passionate about their team at Loftus Road.
That was great. I mean, I loved it. Ian Holloway assigned me. I just left Derby, and I was, you know, in between. I had 6 months to go really well. I knew in my heart it was time to give it a rest and then move on. And Ian Holloway signed me. He said, look, you know, we're in the Division 1. We want to get promotion in the Championship. Would you come down? So I said, yeah, no problem. Well, anyone that knows Ian Holloway, he is a raving madman. He doesn't stop running. So I'm 35 years of age, and with all these like Kevin Gallagher and all these younger players, he's telling me to do 12-minute runs, to be up and down the line. I said, Ollie, I'm trying to get it off of the goalkeeper and pass it out and try and pass the ball. No, we're getting it long, and you're running up here like you used to do. I said, Ollie, that was fucking 15 years ago. I said, I've done about fucking 500 miles now. I said, I can't do that. But it's great to be there. Some great young players. They got promotion, but you're right, a great football club. You know, they're really passionate about their fans. A lot of history. You know, when you think about the iconic players, the Astro field, the turf field that they had there when they used to play.
5-5 Newcastle.
Exactly, yeah. You know, great, obviously, Glenn Roeder having that affinity as well. The first little step over that we all remember seeing him do on Match of the Day. So, it wasn't the best time of my career because my legs are gone, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I was only there, as I said, 3 or 4 months, but a good football club. And, you know, it's great to see Les there. Obviously, he's a legend there and doing well. But, yeah, I enjoyed it. Good people. But Ian Holloway, raving madman.
Listen, we've got a lot of US fans, Warren, that watch the show. We have Nigeria, Cyprus, Turkey. I could go through them all, and it's lovely to have you all with us. But a lot of US fans, and I just want them to know you do a lot of work. I mean, under 18, LA Galaxy started, advised at San Diego Flash. Just tell us a little bit about your coaching work in the US.
Yeah, I was lucky enough towards the end of my career. I started doing my coaching license with someone like Stuart Pearce and done my B license, A license, and then I ultimately did my pro license. So when me and my wife decided to move the family over to Southern California, I knew the game was growing. I'd been coming out here on vacations, different parts, Chicago, New York, Seattle, wherever it was, but you could just sense the movement of how soccer was evolving. So when I first come over, not only did I want to say, right, I've played 500 games, played for England, I wanted to have the qualifications to do that. So when I first come over, our good friend Rude Hullet was actually at LA Galaxy. And a guy called Trevor James.
Our good friend.
Trevor James was the academy director who actually worked on Sir Bobby many years ago. Back in the Ipswich days, he asked me to come down to LA Galaxy to do some coaching with the academy, and it was great for me to get a mindset of what being a professional soccer player is in the US. Where in England, junior school, secondary school, there's 99% of the kids want to be a football player. They want to go and play it. Here, it was slightly different because you got 4 major sports, and I throw 5 into that actually with the NFL. You got baseball, you got hockey, and then obviously you got the NBA, and then you throw MLS into that as well. So not only you compete against 4 or 5 major sports, you're also against the college system. And a lot of the mindset at that time when I moved over in 08, the academy players, it wasn't to try and break into LA Galaxy and to be a first team player there like it would be in Newcastle or Liverpool. It was to do well to get a scholarship to UCLA or to try and get into Virginia. So that was a real eye opener for me because I'm used to being around kids that want to be professionals. These kids wanted to go to college. And if there was a professional avenue at the end of it, great. If not, they was going to go and be a lawyer, doctor, dentist, whatever they wanted to go into. So that was a real learning curve for me. And then in my local area where I lived many years ago in the NASL league, when the likes of San Diego Flash was playing, they was getting 15, 16,000 people watching. There was a guy that found the brand and wanted to relaunch it to the franchise, to make the franchise again. So what I said to him that I've always wanted to do is have a team that represents the area that I live in, all local players, all players that have come through whether it's, I wasn't going to give people $500 to come and play from LA or from the East, from Phoenix to come over. It had to be local kids. So for 7 years, we did that. All kids that maybe didn't make it at college or MLS, we played in an amateur league. We had a lot of fun. And what's been lovely after that, I mean, the teams did well. They won their conferences. They got into playoffs and done very, very well. But a lot of the guys now that play together are working in different clubs as coaches. So they all meet each other. And we've got a real network of young fellas that have worked together, played together, and now they're coaching against each other. And it's great to see. And that run its course, and I was doing a lot of media work with Fox at the time with Champions League, Premier League, World Cups, Gold Cups, you name it, Bundesliga, Liga MX. So I was doing a little bit of both at the moment, and it gave me the opportunity as well to coach my 3 boys. I've got now, they're older, 22, 20 years of age, and a 17-year-old who's going to be. So it gave me a chance to coach them at an academy level in the local San Diego area. So that was the main reason when I moved. I could have stayed in England and did what a lot of people do in coaching, but I wanted to spend time with my family. I wanted to be with my kids. I wanted to take them through school, and I was able to do that. I'm lucky enough. Now they're older and they don't need me. All they really need is money and petrol in the car. I'm starting to get itchy feet and to look about coaching. But
I will tell you, Warren, it was great. I used to live in New York for 20 years. And I used to watch you very regularly, right? And I thought you were fantastic. It was great. It's great to hear somebody on Fox with a Cockney accent. I just loved it. It was fantastic. And someone who knew their stuff, of course, right? It was an absolute dream. I must say that it was great. And when did you start doing the media work in the States?
Was with Fox Soccer. How that really happened, I was doing Sky back home in the UK. I did a World Cup for ITV in Germany for them, and I'd also done a lot of work with the BBC as well. But I was doing the US England game, and I was doing a talk about the game, and Kelly Dalglish was doing it. Peter Shilton was there.
Yes.
About four or five of us on a panel, and I was just talking about the game and how the game had gone. And then the head of Fox Soccer, Dermot McQuarrie, who's actually a Scottish guy, had been in the States and run Fox Soccer for many years, said to me, look, I liked what I see, the way you was talking. I said, well, funny enough, I'm moving out to America. That's always been on our mind. Well, okay, when you're in Los Angeles, come and meet me and come and see the set. So I'm used to Sky and everything, but this was like a chair, camera, and get on with it. There was no graphics, there was no wardrobe, there was no makeup. It was like, get on and do it. But for me, it was all, and how I've been brought up, it was always about the game. So as long as you had the Premier League, Champions League, and to see now in the States, when you look at what NBC have done with the Premier League, CBS, what they're doing, Fox, ESPN with the Euros. I mean, the people don't really understand maybe in the UK, but as I said, I wake up at 6 o'clock until my wife's, can't stand it until like 9 o'clock at night. There's football on, soccer on 24/7. It's incredible. Yeah. But at that time,
give her George's wife's number.
Yeah. And where you said, my friend, is that before it was one game and then it was off. But now, as I said, it's got to, and that's what I noticed in 08 about what was happening with over the States about soccer, how it was growing. When you go over the park now, it's not someone throwing American football playing baseball. It's a group of people kicking the football around. When you look at what Austin are doing in their stadium, and 70,000 people at Atlanta the other day watching a game. It's the games like that, how it was in the Premier League, where it went like that in the early 90s. It reminds me very similar of what's happening in the States at the moment.
Got to get back into the Euros because we are a Euro show. George, massive game for Germany tonight. They have to come to the party, don't they?
They need 3 points. It's as simple as that, right? After the 1-0 defeat against France, where France looked incredibly superior in every department, Germany just has to win, right? They just have to win.
But then they've got the problem, Warren, of Mr. Ronaldo, the leading all-time scorer of the Euros. So, what's your take on it?
Well, I think when you looked at Hungary, the way that they played against France and against Portugal for that 84, 85 minutes, they sort of handled Ronaldo very, very well, and the Portugal team. When you look at the quality that they've got. But would you ever go against the Germans? I mean, I love seeing them under pressure. I love seeing them, but you just know with the Germans, they're tournament ready. They normally, when the back's against the wall, come up with something. I hope they don't, because they get knocked out. But you have to admire the Germans, how they are. They're going through a time. Obviously, Joachim Löw's going to be leaving. Hansi Flick's going to be taking over. So that's a little bit of a transition, although they're very, very similar in their mindsets and how they see the German team going on. I mean, Hummels, he asked him to come back, and Thomas Muller to try and help them out. I do think they get a result. As I said, whether it's a draw, so they go into the last game needing a result, could go in their favour, but you never write the Germans off. But Portugal, I think there's more to them to come. I thought it was a little bit, conscious, but Ronaldo again, I mean, I think we get caught. I mean, how blessed are we? We've had Messi that's doing free kicks after free kicks in Copa America. And then when he put his stats up about Ronaldo, forget about what he did at club level at Real Madrid, where it was like 500 games and 550 goals. In a European qualifier, he's played 22 games. He scored 11 goals. I mean, that is unreal. That is unheard of. I mean,
it's outrageous, isn't it? Outrageous.
To have two people. I mean, my old colleague, Alan, they keep showing out the graphics of he's got 7 goals. And I'm thinking Alan was arguably one of the best number 9 strikers that we've ever seen in the Premier League. But Ronaldo is on that another level. And when you throw the age into it as well, and he gets his... I mean, he's such a... we're in this market in America where they want their superstars. He ticks every box. He just got the other day, 300 million on Instagram. I mean, that doesn't mean a lot to our age group, but to the younger ones.
Just 10 million behind me, Warren.
Yeah,
just 10 million behind me.
But Ronaldo, he's a legend. Look, I think Portugal will get something from the game today. I don't think they lose. I think it's a draw. I think Portugal are very difficult to beat. Their managers won the Euros before for Portugal, and he was the manager at Greece when they won it. And you got Ronaldo. He's one of the highlights of the Euros so far is the interview where he moved those 2 Coke bottles away. I love that, right?
And then you had the Ukrainian striker that said, "Come and sponsor me, put them in front of me." And then you had the Russian coach drinking them, and the shares are going up and down, and things like that. But yeah, you're right.
Interesting.
Ronaldo. A lot of them Portuguese players have experienced winning, so that's that, and they're that little bit older now, that little bit more mature. So I mean, what a group that is as well, and what a game that'll be as well. The France one.
Warren, as a player, when you've got a superstar player, which is, and all the media will come to you and say, basically Ronaldo. So Bruno Fernandes, who is an absolute quality player in his own right, was asked yesterday, Ronaldo is the king. He is Portugal, and they said no. He said our secret is we are together. He said it's not about Ronaldo. It's not about anyone else. It's about us as a team. You've got to say that, haven't you?
And I think that comes from Ronaldo. I think if anyone goes on YouTube and remember when he come off injured in the final,
absolutely,
having to take penalties, he was getting them together. He was like another assistant coach. He put everything that he was aside to make sure, like, I remember one of the penalty takers didn't want to take it. He said, "Come on, have courage, do it with us. We'll do it together." When you have your leader doing that, and arguably, would you say probably the best player to ever play the game, with his best goal scorer? Him, Pele, Marek. So you have him saying that to you, and it's about us, and like he said about getting distracted about other things, whether it be moving to the Premier League. He said, "My main focus is on Portugal," and I believe him. I know he's got a big ego, and listen, you can't be. If I had his body, I'd be taking my shirt off all the time. So you can't dispute that. But I think when it comes down to football and comes down to the game, and that comes back to his background with Sir Alex Ferguson and how he's been brought up, that's what he gives to the club and to the team and to his country. And to have him doing that must give everybody a lift in that change room, because yes, that the outside, I think it's about him, but he's telling every single one of you that I'm with you and I'm going to help you and I'm going to push you to the best. And we've been lucky enough to see the Michael Jordan documentary about how he pushes people to the limit to get better, because he wants his standards are here. He wants them to get there. And Alan did that with us at Newcastle. If we wouldn't cross the ball perfectly for him, it'd let you know in no short terms. And then the next day you'd be out there doing another 50 crosses for him to make sure it was on the money. And that's what leaders and top people do. So Ronaldo's definitely in that. I love him. I've got nothing but the utmost respect, because the way he's evolved as a player, the way he's changed as a player, and the way he's emulates what he hasn't got Messi's gift, but what he's got is his heart and work ethic, and obviously he's got ability. He's put that together and he's made the most of it. I think he's a phenomenal. For me, he's the best. I love it. The other one's a gift from God. But this one is to show if you work at something, you can be the best.
We've got a brilliant, because it's Soccer Saturday, and we're missing out Kev today. Big shout out to Super Kevin Campbell, who won last week's predictions, George, just so you know.
God, we won't hear the end of that.
You won't
God
hear
help
the end
us.
of it.
Oh,
you won't
man.
hear the end of it. We've got predictions, but before I come into that, I've got a couple of things. There's also a great game. You know your Spanish football really well, George. Spain, Poland. They had a lot of possession, Spain against Sweden, but they weren't brilliant. So they've got a big game tonight, haven't they?
Yeah, and I got a feeling the Spanish are going to come up short. The Poles are better than people give them credit for. They're more than just Lewandowski, You want to see Spain break out into that flair, back to their normal. It's a young group. He's trying to re-energize them, refocus them. I think it's going to be a fascinating game. It can go either way. Again, I'm going to call that as a draw.
Did you not think Morata had enough chances in the first half? If he gets it 2-0, I think Poland will play up a little bit more. They won't be like Sweden with having 11 in the box. So they will come out a little bit, because they need to get a result. They need to get a result.
But I mean, everybody needs a result tonight. The game is all about, the difference is, it's obvious. You've got to score more than the opposition. But getting the ball in the back of the net is the hardest thing in the world. We know that, right?
You sound like Kevin Keegan. You sound like Kevin Keegan.
I was going to say Warren.
I'm used to that.
but the Spanish game, Morata missed 2 great opportunities, right? And then that weighs on his confidence, that weighs on his mind. You know how it is, Warren, right? If you're scoring,
would you start today? Would you start?
Yes, I would. I would. Absolutely, I would. Absolutely, I would. Because he was there to miss the chance, right? So he's eager to get it. Although it's psychological warfare, right? He feels that, but he knows it's there, and he can't wait to put one away to get rid of the demons, and then roll it. So you can't take that away from him. I think Spain would want him to have that opportunity to make the difference today.
We're going to go into predictions because I'm desperate for Warren Barton.
God help us. God help us.
Yeah. Listen, did Kevin actually fix
all
it?
Over it.
Did Kevin give the predictions after the result?
He's a nightmare for it, honestly. Literally, we have so many lovely guests on Hollywood Balls, and Kev writes them down. He takes it so seriously. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to start with our guest. We're going to go with Warren. Your prediction for Portugal and Germany, mate?
I'm not going to go with the draw. I'm going to go 2-1 Germany.
2-1 Germany. Okay, George.
And my old friend Thomas Muller may be getting on the end of one of them.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 1-1 Germany-Portugal.
Get off the fence, George. Get off the fence.
1-1.
Okay, Spain-Poland, Warren.
2-0 Spain.
I've got 2-1 Spain.
You've got 2-1, okay.
Yeah.
And again, across the weekend, because there's so many games, I've got a couple of curveballs here for you because you know I do this to you guys. I've got Italy-Wales, Warren.
1-0 Italy, because I think they'd make some changes. So I'm going to go Italy 1-0.
Okay.
I've got 2-0 Italy.
You've got 2-0. Switzerland-Turkey. Big game, that.
1-1.
2-0 Switzerland.
Ooh, you're going to get to Turks. I think they'll have a bit of fight in them. I think they will have a go.
And we've got a lot of Turkish people watching as well. Yeah. So good luck
I
with
thought
that one, George.
Turkey have disappointed me. I thought they'd do much better. They got 2 defeats. Switzerland have got something to prove. I just think it's 2-0 Switzerland.
Okay, and for your curveball fixture,
go on.
National League playoff, Warren. Hartlepool against Torquay at the weekend.
He does this, doesn't he?
I've got to go with Hartlepool. They're up in the North East.
Yeah,
I've got to go with them. No point.
Give us a score.
3-1.
3-1. George?
2-0 to the Pool.
2-0 to the Pool. Be absolutely fantastic. Can't let Warren go without asking what his thoughts are, what Newcastle will be doing next season if they're under the same management, ownership. Will they just will they do the same? Will they just want to stay up?
My heart's saying no. I'm expecting something to happen. There's going to be at least be contending in top half of the table. Maybe flirting with a bit of European football. But my head's saying, time and time again, it's you go there and then it's just don't get beat, get a point, maybe get a goal from set pieces. It's going to be a grind. I'm going to go. Let's go positive. It's been a great summer of soccer, so I'm going to go with. We're going to be on the front foot. We're going to get the offensive players playing well. We've got some talented players. Wilson's going to get into 15, 16 goals, and we're going to be just in and around that 9th, 8th spot in the Premier League.
Great shout. I mean, at the end of the day, I was looking yesterday, Harry Kane, for whatever reason, I said to George, he didn't have a great game. Can't blame it all on him. There was other players, but Callum Wilson would have done a really good job, I think, at the Euros. But I'm obviously biased. George, what's your take?
On Callum Wilson?
Yep.
Excellent player. It's a great buy by Steve Bruce. Steve Bruce has his critics. Some of them, Pete. I thought it was a great buy. I think if Newcastle get a good run of injury-free for the Flair players, I think they could have a good season. I just hope, because Ashley wants to sell the club now, I just hope the Premier League support Newcastle and they let someone that, look, it's a huge club. The Geordies are a very special people. I think that club could go places in the right hands. So, yeah, it's fantastic.
All I want to see is when I got frustrated and voiced my disappointment is you spoke about the Flair players there being fit. Even when they was fit, my friend, we were still told to play defensive, 70 yards away from the goal.
Exactly.
When we actually went forward and let these Flair players be Flair players, we caused teams problems. All right, we didn't win every game, but we had a go. So all I'm asking for is the way that we finished the season, do that. Because we started, the new signings come in, Wilson come in, we've got a good result at West Ham, we've got West Ham again in the first game of the season. We started off well, then all of a sudden we got a couple of indifferent, and he went back to let's get 70 yards back from the goal, let's back in, and we're trying to grind out results. And that's where the disappointment come from my point of view, is because I think we've got players that can cause other teams problems.
Absolutely. At the end, towards the end of the season, you saw Newcastle play without fear. And they were on the front foot, and it was beautiful to watch. And they were a match for every team they played. To your point, Warren, when they're instructed to say, do a low block, let's start becoming more defensive-minded, it goes to pot, right? So I think nowadays the game is, if you're not on the front foot, you're on a hiding to nothing. The game has changed, right? I mean, example, Jose Mourinho, incredible coach, but that genre doesn't work anymore, I don't think. And the interesting thing is Newcastle have got some great attacking, some great offensive players, right?
Yeah.
And the culture of the club, we've spoken about it, is
of course.
It's a big positive. They was lucky last season at the beginning. There wasn't 52,000 people because they would have let them know. If they can use that, what we used to do, use that 52,000 for your advantage, we would then be on the front foot, and that energy and that vibe. That's what confused me, because Steve knows the area. He knows what the club's about. And that's where the frustration comes.
But that's his nature. That's his nature. Pete, your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on this are very simply this, is that Warren will remember a song, whether he was home or away, attack, 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 attack. And all the Toon fans used to sing that, and we used to get excited. And I think, Warren, if I didn't play, I wasn't lucky enough, but I was at every other game. We knew that at least we were going to have a go. And I think no one's asking to win the league. No one's asking to win a cup, but we're just asking to show a little bit of gumption.
Absolutely.
And have a
Absolutely. Go. It's the beautiful game after all, right? It's exactly. The Toon, the Geordies demand that. You always associate Newcastle with beautiful, attacking a brand of football. Come on, Brucey, you can do it.
Right? What about your lot? Anyway, what about Spurs?
Oh, dear me. Listen, as I've told Pete, I live high on a hill. It's high enough for me to jump, and I'm considering it, Warren. I think it's a shambles. I think it's a shambles. Absolute shambles.
You've got no coach, and you've got no striker.
It's a shambles.
But you got a lovely stadium.
I think the owners and the chairman, Daniel Levy, I think he's come up short. I think he knows it. It feels like desperate stuff. Let's see what happens. Did you get a call to become the manager?
Hey, Jurgen Klinsmann's going over there. He's desperate for it. Give it to
I know.
Jurgen.
He was on BBC. I saw that. Yeah, he loved it. Yeah.
He loved that.
That serves you right for making fun of Arsenal for many, many years. Now it's good karma. Use lot in North London, they're getting the same thing now.
Listen. What I will say is, despite Spurs being so terrible, I got to say this: we finished above Arsenal again. North London is just terrible. North London is just terrible. I feel bad for. Go ahead.
They must be crap if you lot was above them.
Exactly right. It's terrible. North London, it used to be, Arsenal used to be such a powerhouse. God, it's embarrassing.
We need Kevin on the show. Get Kevin Campbell back on the show.
Listen, we'd be on for 4 hours if Super Kev was on talking about Arsenal and the woes. Listen, Warren, it's been fantastic. Could we maybe ask if we get you back on before the end of the Euros? It's been it's been fascinating having you on. You know, a legend at the Toon, played for England, played for Wimbledon, played for so many clubs. Really, really appreciate your time from the US. Morning, breakfast time, get another cuppa, and thanks for joining us.
Absolute pleasure, gentlemen. Enjoy the Euros, and yeah, anytime, my friend. You know that. More than welcome.
Thank you, Warren.
I was like Joe Kinnear there, scratching my head. Anytime. Anytime.
On that note, ladies and gents, it's been another fantastic week. We've got so many good guests coming up as well. Stay in touch with Hollywood Balls for the Euros. Please do subscribe to the channel. Send it to your friends if you would. We've got John Barnes, Darren Anderson. There's so many more guests coming up. It's going to be brilliant. And we're definitely getting Warren Barton back on, because talking to him has just been fantastic. Ladies and gents, thank you so much.